He wants to make Southlake a one-dimensional team, meaning he wants to try to take away their run game.
It didn't take long for Paralympian Jim Bob Bizzell to know he needs to go to Boston and be there for the injured victims. They actually just went to the middle of the field and had a prayer, and I got to hear a little bit of what they were talking about what this game means to them, and then at the very end they chanted 1, 2, 3, Boston strong. Paige Gates of Midland is also safe. She was able to finish as well, and she joins us now live by phone in Boston. I talked to a referee after the game just a second ago about what exactly happened, what judgment call did they make, and they said it is a new rule in high school football this year. Tatum, we talked for about 30 minutes, and that entire time we talked, that last moment right there, that was the only time she cried. From the Phyllis Wheatley Middle School, it's just down the road from the AT&T Center where the San Antonio Spurs play. Jay Tatum, it didn't take long for Paralympian Jim Bob Bizzell to know he needs to go to Boston and be there for the injured victims. Jim Bob Bizzell knows what it's like to overcome losing a limb.
I had to go through it myself. I learned everything on my own. It's a new reality. It's a new life.
After the initial shock of what happened in Boston, Jim Bob quickly realized he has a special perspective and story to share with some of the victims.
Being that it's a marathon and it's running, that's my thing. I run. I want them to show them that, hey, I lost my leg and I came back 5 months later and I ran again. And it's possible. I just want to give them the hope that they got it.
So in a couple of weeks, the Paralympic gold medalist is going to Boston to help those who will be forced to start a different life.
Losing a limb it's different with everybody. A lot of people have to learn how to walk. So it's all up to their mindset, and if they're okay with accepting the fact they've lost their limb, they're going to take it on pretty fast.
When it comes down to it, Jim Bob wants these victims to know that this is not an end, it's a new beginning.
I'm hoping to get to them to let them know that their life is not over. Any advice that I can give them for prosthetics, I've got all the information they need. Everything's possible. Put your mind to it.
Jim Bob is taking donations to help him get to Boston and also to give to the families in need. If you want to help out, you can call Jim Bob at 432-258-5673 or email him at jbbiz411@yahoo.com. The information will also be on our website. In the newsroom, I'm Whitney Harding. So far this NASCAR season, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been on fire. Now, yes, I know, coming into today, we're only 2 races in, but can you remember him ever driving this consistently well? He wins the Daytona 500. Then last week at Phoenix, he finished in second. Needless to say, coming into today's race in Las Vegas, Jr. sits atop the point standings and would love to keep it that way. Let's jump right to the final lap. Jr. in the lead, Brad Keselowski on his tail, and with more fuel. Out of the second turn, it happens. Earnhardt Jr. runs out of gas, and Keselowski takes the lead. He also takes the checkered flag. And in the post-race interview, Jr. said his team was short 16 ounces of fuel. Here's how the top 5 shook out. Keselowski and Jr. 1, 2 respectively. Paul Menard comes in 3rd, Joey Logano 4th, Carl Edwards wrapping up the top 5. Now to those point standings, and it is so close. Earnhardt Jr. on top by 1, Keselowski in 2nd. And now I've highlighted Kevin Harvick's number right there. You're probably looking and going, how can he be atop Jimmie Johnson and Joey Logano with less points? Well, in the new Sprint Cup rules, NASCAR wanted to put more of an emphasis on wins, and Kevin Harvick won last week. Jimmie Johnson and Logano have not won yet, but I definitely can say in the case of Jimmie Johnson that will change before too long. Well, it's apparent the Houston Rockets like March, and maybe it's the warmer weather in Houston, or they're feeding off that madness that's about to take hold right here on CBS in the college ranks. But since March 1st, Houston has won 4 straight games. Not only that, one of those 4 was against the Heat on Tuesday, and then a complete dismantling of the Indiana Pacers on Friday. Tonight, it wouldn't get any easier. Houston welcoming in Portland, and the Trailblazers starting off hot. Dwight Howard is stripped, and Nikola Batum takes it all the way for the lay-in, and Portland starts on an 8-0 run. Then James Harden gets started. He gets his first points off of Patrick Beverley's steal and Harden laying it in. That was just the beginning for him. Later on, he'll step back, drain the 3, and he led all scorers with 41 points in the game. Another guy with a big night, Jeremy Lin, added 26 points off the bench for Houston. The Rockets got their first lead of the game late in the 4th quarter. It went into overtime, and Houston wins its 5th game in a row. The Dallas Mavericks got a win over Indiana tonight, 105-94. The Pacers not faring well in the Lone Star State this week. Monte Ellis and Devin Harris led the way for Dallas. Both had 20 points. Now in college hoops, the Big 12 tournament kicks off this week. Here's the schedule for the first round. First up, this series has been dramatic all year. The Red Raiders and the Cowboys square off on Wednesday at 6 o'clock, and then the nightcap is TCU and Baylor. The tournament takes place at the Sprint Center in Kansas City. Now a look at what's trending in the world of sports, and this video comes to us from Ohio. We thought we saw the marathon on ice during the Olympics when the Americans and Russians squared off. Well, that looked like a speck in time compared to what happened in the Ohio State Hockey Championship last night. The Buckeye State has co-state hockey champions after Sylvania Northview and Cleveland St. Ignatius called the game a tie after seven overtimes. After the 7th extra period, both head coaches, school administrators, and the Ohio School Athletics Association agreed to end the game at a 1-1 tie. Now, in Ohio high school hockey, there are no shootouts. So naturally, it's safe to say the players were pretty gassed when they were about to start that 8th overtime. Another big hockey event this weekend, Mike Madonna's number was retired. You were there. It
19,000
awesome.
people on hand.
Amazing.
It was packed.
That's awesome for him.
Texas enjoyed it. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
What if I told you that being at a football game didn't mean watching the football game? Over the last couple of weeks, I've had the privilege of talking to a local fan who has given me, and I hope gives you, a new perspective on football.
Isela Mejia has always had a curiosity for football.
When I was young or in high school, I went to the football games, and then my husband loves sports, so we introduced our daughter to sports. So we've gone to all of them. We followed them to the playoffs.
She would always come and lay down here on the couch and say, you know, who's winning and this and that. Well, I wanted to know more, you know.
Since she was 28 years old, Isela has had to enjoy the game in a different way.
You probably feel that I can see you. I'm just looking in your direction.
Isela is blind. In 1988, she began to lose her vision and was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa. Football had become a big part of Isela and Neto's marriage, but now it wouldn't be the same.
Football has become a part of her life too, you know, since we met. And I'm glad because, I mean, I don't mind watching football by myself, but when I have the woman in my life sitting next to me and enjoying it just like I do, oh, it's great.
We would go to the game and I depended on him to tell me every little, and I want to know every little detail.
So they had an idea that involved a simple gadget and Isela's new football knowledge.
Hassan fires in zone. Caught! Touchdown, Midland High, DeAndre Goodley. Yes, sir.
So he's like, you know what? We listen to the radio at home. We listen to the football game at home. You're gonna have one at the game. The radio, I love it because they tell me every little bit of it. I mean, it's like I don't need to see it because I'm visualizing it in my head.
When she's listening to the game and we make a touchdown, you know, she jumps and she cheers.
For Isela, it's the most basic information that is the most crucial.
And they tell me left to right. I mean, I love it when they say the team is going from left to right. So you take for granted, you know. Because if they don't tell me, I'm looking the wrong way. I'm totally looking the wrong way.
Despite the occasional directional hiccup, Isela has found the new perspective has given her and her husband a new love for football.
You want to listen?
Sure.
It's just as exciting as when I could see. When I hear on the radio a flag was thrown, sometimes I even know before my husband what the penalty was.
She really gets into the games now. I mean, football, it's become a big part of her. I'm very proud. She's an inspiration. She is an inspiration. I mean, that's the love of my life. Yes, football comes in second.
we're just people also. So just don't forget that.
We'd like to thank Isela and Neto for letting us into their lives. And Jay and Tatum, one quick note. Isela, when she first told me, she was hesitant to the interview, but then she realized she needed to speak out for disabled football fans everywhere. So thank you very much to Isela.
Great.
Marshall, I am coming to you from Maverick Stadium here at University of Texas at Arlington, and tonight this is where the Odessa High Broncos are going to kick off against Arlington Martin. Now, Odessa High, this weather might actually suit their game because they're going to want to run the football at Arlington Martin. Of course, CJ Edison coming off a career high and school record performance in the by-district round over in El Paso. So if the Broncos can establish him early, they'll be good to go. Just north of here in Saginaw, Midland Lee, South Lake Carroll, round 2 for this season. Of course, we all remember back in week 1, the Dragons just absolutely took down the Rebels. It wasn't even close. But this Rebels team has really developed since that happened. The defense has gotten a lot better. The run game's gotten a lot better. 2 factors that Coach James Morton says will be huge in this game. Kickoff for Midland Lee Southlake is at 7 o'clock. Kickoff here at Maverick Stadium between Odessa High and Arlington Martin is at 7:30. We will be at both games tonight here in the Metroplex, so make sure you tune in at the 5th quarter at 10:15 for all of those highlights. Reporting in Arlington, I am Whitney Harding. Marshall, back to you.
Welcome back, everyone, and Merry Christmas to you all. The Houston Rockets and San Antonio Spurs were on the primetime stage tonight. The last time these two teams met, Houston got the 6-point win. Tonight, the Rockets would have James Harden back. He's been out with an ankle sprain the last couple of games. Early on in this one, it was as if the Rockets couldn't miss. It started with Chandler Parsons hitting that from way downtown, and then later he would drain another triple, this one from the corner, and Houston went on a huge run in the first quarter. It is capitalized by this Dwight Howard dunk. Nice feed from Jeremy Lin down to the big man in the post. That bucket made it a 10-0 Houston run, but the Spurs just doing what they do. They started chipping away. Manu Ginobili loses the ball, gets it back, gets it to Kawhi Leonard. He goes for the lay-in, misses, but Timmy Duncan down low with the one-handed jam putback. But the Rockets too much in this one. They go on to beat the Spurs again, 111-98, and James Harden game high 28 points. Now to LA for the Heat and Lakers, and the guys had on their stylish sneaks tonight. I know our producer Gary is cringing at me trying to be cool there with the lingo. All right, highlights, not fashion. And if you like dunks, you're gonna love our stream here. LeBron James gets us started right there. That was nothing. Later, Wade to James over the head, and then the one-handed flush. Absolutely amazing. I think KU, Kansas, had that last week. And speaking of Kansas, there is Xavier Henry, the former Jayhawk, driving to the hoop for 2. But all right, we want to see dunks. Here's one more off the backboard. Doesn't get any better than that. I think it's the sneaks. The Lake Show kept it close, but Miami gets the W, 101-95. All right, other basketball games. Right now, here is an updated score on this one. LA Clippers are up 43-33 on the Warriors. Early on today, the Bulls handled the Nets 95-78, and OKC, they put a whooping on the Knicks, 123-94. The Dallas Cowboys were back on the practice field today, but Tony Romo was not. Jason Garrett talked about Romo's status and the team's decision to pick up John Kitna.
Tony, we're taking day by day. You know, I saw him this morning. He's still working his way through this thing. And, you know, like we said the other day, we feel like we needed to sign another quarterback. We had a number of different quarterbacks in here for workouts yesterday. And we felt like, you know, when you looked at the landscape of guys who could help us on short notice, Kitna was a guy who kind of rose to the top of that.
All right, well, I wanted to leave you all with a smile tonight. So here's the wackiest sports play I've seen in a while. Let me set up the scene for you. Earlier this week in the NHL, the Buffalo Sabres and the Phoenix Coyotes went into overtime tied at 1 goal apiece. Then the Sabres got an early Christmas gift. Let's take a look at it. In overtime, here we go. The puck goes up into the air, lands in Phoenix goalie Mike Smith's hands. Smith, momentum pushes him back inside the goal. Now, since the puck technically goes across the line, that is a goal, and that is how Buffalo ended up winning that game. Here's another look at it right there, going across the line into the goal. That has to be the craziest way I've seen a team win any kind of a game in any sport whatsoever.
It's very bizarre, that's for sure. I bet he was sitting there like, darn it. Oh, can't believe I just did that.
Can't believe it just backed it up into the net.
Bummer. All right, thanks, Whitney. We'll be right back.